Hello, if anyone is out there, if anyone gets this, if anyone can hear me, please send help. I'm sequestered in a bunker in Toronto. Roving gangs of children are on the streets, dragging out everyone by their ankles, and society's collapsed. We need John Tory. John Tory, where are you?
Even though we were glib about John Tory's resignation last episode, the city has fallen into complete disarray without him. This is the closest we've come to living in a post-apocalyptic wasteland.
Yeah, it's very like Snake Plissken-esque.
Yeah, we're trying to be Snake Plissken. That's why we're wearing eye patches. We're always trying to be Snake Plissken, but we end up being, like a rotting corpse on the side of the road, number 2 or whatever.
And there's a slow-moving poisonous gas cloud making its way across the Great Lakes, slowly coming towards us.
Yes, an airborne toxic event, if you will, from Ohio, which this week I learned is very close to Canada. Did no idea.
Thought it was all tucked away down there.
Yeah, all tucked away down there. I have an excerpt from John Tory's letter, final letter to the city that he wrote. I'd just like to read a bit of it here. He says, Wayne's World, party time, excellent. Not. If you're going to spew into this. I don't even own a gun, let alone many guns that would necessitate an entire rack. Schwing. She will be mine. Squeeze me, baking powder. If she were president, she'd be Abraham Lincoln. Did you ever find Bugs Bunny attractive when he put on a dress and played Girl Bunny? A sphincter says what? Car. Game on. Gretzky's denied, choked on the open net. It's like people only do things because they get paid, and that's just really sad. Camera 1, camera 2. We're not worthy. And you know what the worst part of it all is? I never learned to read. If Benjamin were an ice cream flavor, he'd be pralines and dick. Let's do the Scooby-Doo ending. Boodaloo, boodaloo, boodaloo. And that's the final word from John Tory.
I believe you forgot "We fear change" and "This man blows goats." I have proof.
Yeah. There. So we did all the quotes, and now we don't have to do any more Wayne's World quotes. So the episode is over.
Yeah.
Thank you to our guest, who we haven't introduced yet.
Yeah. And, I enjoyed myself.
Yeah. Have a good day, everybody.
No, that's. Today we are doing Wayne's World. A quick little franchise before. I know people have been complaining, like, when are you guys going to do another long piece of shit Odyssey? And it's like, we've got one coming up later this year that's going to tick all your schadenfreude boxes. So, like, don't worry about that.
Yeah, we live to torture and humiliate ourselves.
Yeah, just let us have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
In the interim before like this season really kicks off.
Yeah, you have no idea what's coming.
But
I think I would like to go back to the Ghost Dimension in some form.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, the greatest episodes we recorded so far.
Yeah. But yeah, we're doing Wayne's World, and we have esteemed guest Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Hello.
A friend of mine from high school.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. You two are kind of like the original Wayne and Garth. I've heard
the original two friends.
The original two friends. Yeah. We're not going to talk about those other two friends on this show.
No.
Yeah.
And Paul, what are your credentials? I feel like we ask that of every guest.
Yeah. You need to tell us why you think why you're here.
Well, I mean, I think this movie in particular speaks to me because I was part of an arts collective where we did a lot of analog video installations. We would do like work with bands doing visuals for them, basically just with like old standard definition video gear that you could pick up off Kijiji, super cheap, and then just kind of like loop one thing into another and get Wayne's World-esque effects that were fun to dick around with. And if you break something, it doesn't matter because it only cost you $40.
Yeah, when I told Paul we were doing Wayne's World, he was like, oh, I love that movie, and I love like all the old AV analog equipment they had. And I was like, that was a whole aspect of Wayne's World that, I never really even clued into until now in this context, but it does have a
public
very
access,
DIY spirit kind of thing, and it makes me
it's punk.
It's pretty punk.
It's punk video.
Yeah,
and it's cool, like
it's the commodified end product of punk.
it's a sellout story, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
but it's interesting because, like, you know, public access, that's something that doesn't really exist anymore. Like, I remember growing up, it was like Rogers TV on Channel 10. But now, really, YouTube is just public access.
That's the thing. It's like, it doesn't exist, but also it's taken over everything.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, where at once it was like the least popular thing, you know, and no one tuned in, to now it's like, you know, I've got kids in my life who would rather watch YouTube than kids shows, you know, and watch like people do crazy shit or build shit on YouTube versus a good wholesome cartoon like Angry Beavers or Street Sharks.
Yeah.
Well, that's like Rob Lowe at one point, like is when Wayne's World introduced on the show, it's like, people watch this shit?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, this is basically what we all watch now.
True. It's kind of prophetic in a way.
Let's do a little research, whatever I wrote here. It says, so in 1992, we were all alive, I think. We're all the same age. Great year for us.
Yeah.
Loved being 2 years old.
Yeah, it was a
I
good
was
time.
still in Romania leading my best communist life.
Cool. Yeah. Well, we were living high on the hog here in capitalist Wonderland, Canada. Yeah. Directed by Penelope Spheeris, who
a lady.
Yeah, that's right. We could do a little brief Penelope Spheeris corner. What is she most known for, do you think?
The Decline of Western Civilization documentaries.
Yeah, really, really great movies, which we'll definitely do at some point, right?
Yeah, I'd love to. I think we've each only seen one.
No, I've seen the first two.
Oh, you've seen two?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know why I didn't catch up with the third one, but yeah, like she actually worked with Albert Brooks, directing and producing some of the shorts that he had made for SNL, like way back in the early days. So she's already kind of had that connection, I guess. And then, did the Decline movies. The first one came out in 1981, and that's like the LA punk scene and whatever.
With like the Germs and Circle Jerks.
Yeah, all the cool guys. I think, is Gigi Allen in it at one point?
I don't think so.
Maybe not.
I know Todd Phillips did a Gigi Allen movie, which I've never actually seen, but would love to. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's you point a camera at Gigi Allen, like
it'll be watchable.
Yeah,
but almost unwatchable.
Yeah, he seems like a bad guy. seems like the kind of guy you wouldn't want to hang out with. Really.
Yeah, a little suspicious.
A little suspicious. And then in 1988, she did a follow-up, Decline of Western Civilization 2, The Metal Years.
That's the one I saw.
Yeah,
when Joe Perry and Steve Tyler from Aerosmith talk about how they used to spend, probably still did at the time, but millions of dollars on drugs. It was such like a, I don't know, movie about excess and stuff in just like the worst way, like the famous scene of the guy pouring vodka in the pool. But the Steve Tyler and Joe Perry thing always really stuck out to me, like cool brag guys.
Yeah, it's cool. Drugs are cool. They're expensive when you do a lot of them. What's there to say?
Rock and roll.
They make your music good.
Yeah, they make your music cool and interesting. Do you ever listen to the Beatles like before they smoked weed and did acid and stuff? It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's like a different band.
The shitty Beatles. Yeah.
When they were just on like uppers, when they were just on pills.
Yeah, when they were just when they just got really high grade German speed in Munich, they sounded terrible.
And played for like 7 hours a night.
Yeah. So between the Decline movies, Penelope Spheeris had kind of like I think 4 fiction movies that came out in between those two. The first was Suburbia, which I actually watched last night just to kind of get into the headspace, do a little bit of homework. Very important to prepare. I don't have anything interesting to say about it.
Is that the Giovanni Ribisi?
No,
Suburbia?
So Richard Linklater made a movie called Suburbia, but the U in the middle is capitalized.
Okay.
So it's like Suburbia, and this is Suburbia from 1983. It's kind of confusing. They have pretty much the same title.
Yeah.
Is it a good movie?
It's really good. Yeah, it was really good. I watched Suburbia and I watched Dudes. And in between, there are these other movies, The Boys Next Door and Hollywood Vice Squad. The Boys Next Door in particular I've heard is really good. All of those are on Tubi, the greatest streaming network. Franchisees brought to you by Tubi. Someday.
No. Yeah,
they
don't get
surprisingly largest collection of Orson Welles films and
yeah, they have everything.
Interesting.
But yeah, Suburbia's on there, and Suburbia is really good, and that really feels closely tied to the decline of Western civilization 1, because it's kind of like these LA punks or whatever. I don't remember if it takes place in it does take place in the like suburbs of Los Angeles. And yeah, it's just like it's a Roger Corman movie, so it's kind of got that exploitation sort of feel to it, but it's really bleak and really depressing. Like kids are killed,
Cool.
it's like it doesn't have like rose-colored glasses when it's looking at like that sort of scene. Like the punks they're racist, they're sexist, they have like it gets into like why they might live in the streets, or why they might want to live in a house full of other punks, like, and why they wouldn't want to be at home and stuff like that.
Anarcho-punk communes.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is kind of what we run here.
Yeah, very similar to your place.
Yeah, totally. And then right before Western Civilization 2, she makes Dudes, and Dudes is like a little bit more broad. It's a little closer to Wayne's World, and I watched it because I was thinking like, okay, it's two dudes, it's gonna be like Wayne's World, but no, it's also like it's totally out there, very like tonally all over the place, like shifts into really dark places. Flea is in it, he gets murdered.
Good.
Yeah. So like Decline of Western Civilization 2, I think, is a lot closer to Wayne's World, right? Like those two feel a lot more similar than compared to like Suburbia and the first one, because we're talking about like metal guys and like long hair, headbanging dirtbags. Yeah.
So that's interesting then, that like she does Wayne's World, and then the movies after Wayne's World are basically like she took the message of Wayne's World as, you should sell out. Let's just do that.
Well, I mean, yeah, like she so we're going to get into why maybe she and Mike Myers didn't get along, and why she might not have been invited to the very quickly rushed into production sequel. But yeah, so instead, she makes the Beverly Hillbillies movie, and then Little Rascals,
which
Black Sheep.
Is the most punk film of all time, The Little Rascals. They're basically a punk street gang.
Proto-punk.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Little Rascals is one of those movies where it's like, by all accounts, it's probably like, I think it was panned at the time and not a good movie, but I have like such fond nostalgic memories about it.
I'm pretty sure I saw that in theaters.
And like loved it, and like as corny as it is, like, Alfalfa reading that like letter to Darla, but it's like the fake one that insults her, or whatever. It's funny and it's adorable, and it's like, dear Darla, I hate your stinking guts, or whatever. Like I kind of like the just innocent stupidity of it. Like I'm a Little Rascals apologist. Also, they're punk.
Yeah, I mean, I just haven't seen it in
fair enough
years. I have no idea.
Whoopi Goldberg is Buckwheat's mom, I guess.
Also, just big fan of the term rascal.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah. Not enough rascals anymore. Yeah.
Little
Punks,
Warbig.
Rascals, same thing, right?
Yeah.
Hooligans. Yeah. Same thing.
But yeah, I haven't seen many of these Penelope Spheeris movies you just listed off, but I have a lot of respect for her, like from where she came from and for the Little Rascals. And after Little Rascals is when she actually did The Decline of Western Civilization Part 3.
Yeah.
Which I haven't seen it, but I looked it up, and it's about gutter punks.
Yeah,
so
I've heard it's really good.
Well, it's funny that, like, she had this, like you said, Paul, like a brief period where she was kind of shilling out for mainstream Hollywood, but then went back to her roots to do a documentary about a subculture called gutter punks, like
Sick.
The punkiest of the punks, probably.
As far as I know, yes.
I think it does make sense that you would invite her onto this movie, because this movie is, so much of the runtime is just filming bands playing.
Yeah, and like most of the dramatic conflict in the movie is like, are we going to sell out? Are we going to remain true to our like DIY punk spirit?
Mm-hmm.
So to have somebody like who understands that subculture or even comes from that subculture is important, in a way that I don't think often happens in like Hollywood movies. They're like, oh yeah, we'll get this cool young director to come in because like they know what they're talking about. And then they hire some like hack, some like music video director guy who like doesn't really, have any
Mark Webb.
Yeah, Mark
Shots
Webb.
fired.
Great. That's a great example. They hired Mark
Thank you.
Webb to make Spider-Man because of his last name. They didn't look past it. They didn't say like 500 Days of Summer, that's cute and whatever, but it doesn't really translate. They just saw his last name and they said, this is huge.
Yeah. Just like the current head of Nintendo of America is named Bowser.
No.
Like,
ridiculous.
Yeah, you hired the guy named Bowser. That's it.
Crazy. What are the chances?
Yeah.
It's insane.
So it's written by Mike Myers with Bonnie and Terry Turner.
The
Turners.
Ike and Tina Turner.
Turner, who are SNL writers and who like wrote a lot of his sketches with him. And they also went on to create Third Rock from the Sun, not 30 Rock, and That 70s Show, and a variety of other... no, I think that's pretty much it. They tried to make that 80s show, and now they're making that 90s show.
Right,
So
yes.
the Turners can't be stopped. So it was a huge hit, and the highest-grossing SNL film ever made, and the first.
To this day.
To this day, yep.
No, there was one before it.
Oh, no, there's one before it.
Blues Brothers. But we don't talk about that because of John Landis.
Well, very, very quickly, that's what we got. In 1990, Lorne Michaels...
another alum from our high school.
Yeah, in front of the pod, by virtue of being an evil Canadian. He was overseeing the writing of an SNL sketch movie. So they were going to make like some 90s like SNL movie. And then they shelved it. Probably because it sucked. Probably because the script was bad. Yeah, they were writing Wayne's World. And it was the 10th highest grossing movie of the year. So it did really well as far as like... And that's like 92, right? When they were actually making movies that came out in theaters and like made money and stuff. Mm-hmm. So yeah, preceded by Blues Brothers, but then followed by Coneheads, Wayne's World 2, It's Pat, Stewart Saves His Family, Blues Brothers 2000, A Night at the Roxbury, Superstar, and The Ladies' Man. All of them gigantic hits, well-received, comedy classics that we love today.
I haven't
talked about.
Yes, the ladies' man.
It's Pat, the ladies. I've never even heard of
it. I can't believe It's Pat has a movie.
The It's Pat movie came out and it performed so poorly that they actually just took it out of theaters. It made like $20 grand. It cost like however many millions of dollars.
Who was It's Pat? Like
It's Pat is Julia Sweeney.
Oh.
It's I haven't seen the It's Pat movie, although I've meant to. The whole joke of It's Pat is that the Pat character is like of ambiguous gender, and it's not. I don't.
That's
really,
a good joke.
Yeah, probably the most problematic SNL movie.
Well, I have no idea what the actual jokes are like, but I imagine they're all like at best transphobic and at worst.
The fact that someone thought we should write a whole movie around is this person a man or a woman?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just I don't really know. I don't know where the jokes go or like what the punchlines are. I've never seen it. Same with Stewart Saves His Family. Like I've never
heard of that either.
That was like an Al Franken character.
Oh God.
Yeah. Canceled.
I wish it was. Well, yeah. I wish it was Stewart, the Mad TV Stewart.
Oh yeah, now that's a funny character.
That's such a confusing character.
A man who's a baby.
Yeah. But they understood that works in 6-minute chunks and no more.
That was a bizarre fucking... I remember watching Mad TV as a kid and just like dying and waiting for Stewart to come on. And if you like rewatch clips from back in the day, like the crowd goes absolutely bananas as soon as he... trounces out with his blush on and his weird haircut.
It's funny.
It's a bizarre character, and like, again, I don't like. He's a man baby.
And who plays the mother in that?
Isn't it Alex Borstein?
It might be Alex Borstein. Yeah.
I don't. Remember.
I also remember like her being very funny in that.
Yeah. And a hilarious character, Mrs. Swan, who we all know and love. And
totally.
Who had a huge hit series, Swan Dive or whatever.
Swan Lake. Miss Swan Lake.
Yeah. Totally not racist and not problematic.
Actually, I would disagree with you, Ben, because I rewatched a compilation of Miss Swan videos last year, being like, was there anything else going on here? And the answer is no.
No, she's just doing a racist voice.
The joke is that she's a white woman playing a Chinese woman.
Yeah,
that's it. That's all there is, and it's
crazy.
Mad
TV is crazy.
Yeah.
They had a writer's room and they were like, "Did anybody have any ideas?" And Alex Borstein, pre-Family Guy, was like,
"I'll be Chinese.
I've got an idea." I don't know how Lois sounds. She sounds like Lois. Oh, and there's one other SNL movie. So so Blues Brothers, like 10 years, 12 years before Wayne's World. Then there's that run in the 90s where they're like, we can cash in on our hilarious ideas. Like, what if there was a person and you couldn't tell what their gender was? And then like 10 years after that or something, 10 years out, The Ladies' Man is the last one in 2000. And then like in 2010, they did MacGruber.
Great movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean...
MacGruber's funny.
Yeah.
It's like MacGyver.
Yeah.
He's like MacGyver.
Some of these like SNL sketches or movies, it's like I was saying earlier, I know Austin Powers isn't an SNL character, but the idea that like...
Might as well be.
Yeah, but like, Mike Myers comes out and this is a big popular movie. And I know like popular metal was more pop back then, because you had Metallica in their prime and like you were coming out of the 80s with like Van Halen and shit. But like now the idea of like having a movie about like the metal subculture, it just... it would not have mainstream appeal. Yeah,
well, apparently even back then, like Spheeris had to kind of fight for some of those things. Maybe not so much with Wayne's World, because like Mike Myers was such a like a popular feature on SNL, and it was his idea too. But when she was making Dudes, which is like a couple of punks in a sort of weird Western sort of road trip movie or whatever. Nobody wanted to like release it because they were like, well, we don't really know, we don't really get this subculture. Like punks, aren't they done? Because it was like late 80s, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It does seem weird now.
Well, yeah.
Like if we show this to some like Zoomers, who would they think? What kind of guys would they think Wayne and Garth are?
I don't know. And it's funny, like watching it because they're supposed to be teenage dirtbags and stuff.
No,
like
they're
young guys. No, they're in their 20s
they're
and stuff.
Yeah.
But they look like old as shit. Like Dana Carvey like looks.
I think Dana Carvey just looks like that.
Dana Carvey does look. Yeah. I was going to call him Austin Powers. What's his name? Mike Myers. That's right. Austin Powers.
Michael Myers.
Yeah, Mike Myers is 20. He was 29. 28, 29.
So, well, they look rough.
Old, but yeah, he looks old. He's also just, and I know I said this when we were watching it, he's just an unattractive, unappealing man.
Yeah, but he was so popular at the time that he could come out with a movie about this weird subculture and then follow that up with, like, even back then, like, the reference of Austin Powers was, like, 30 years old and stuff to those old Roger Moore, James Bond and stuff like that, 20, 30 years old. But, and it's still like a massive hit, even though like it's so out of time.
Yeah, I think it's everything where it's like, you clearly care about this and there's something appealing about that. And I think with this, like, you feel like you're brought into that subculture a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
And he could do no wrong until, of course, the Mike Myers empire folded under the weight of the love guru.
Yes.
It's the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, he was banking on that being another amazing character.
Well, yeah.
And just no.
I love the whole idea of him, like, I am a sculptor and I carefully craft these, like, comedy characters. And so, like, Austin Powers, I had to, like, workshop for years. And then Maguru Pitka, that's right, I know the name of the character, from the Love Guru, he was, like, all that time off between whatever, Goldmember and Love Guru. It's not really that long in between those two movies. But years, right? Where he was like, I was going to clubs and I was workshopping all the material. I was getting the voice down. I was getting his mannerisms down. And it's like, it's finally time. We're ready to like make the new Austin Powers trilogy. And it's like,
that's what comes out.
That's what, yeah.
It's a shame there's no sequel.
We should just do it anyway. It's a really weird movie.
We could pair it with Gandhi.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
Ben Kingsley also in Love Guru. He plays his mentor, Guru Tuggan Maputa.
Tuggan
I did my research too.
Yes,
I take this shit seriously.
That's right. In the early scene where Mike Myers is supposed to be younger, so he has a giant head on like a teenage body.
So funny.
Good joke.
Really good joke. Yeah. Well, speaking of 2008 and the Love Guru. We were talking about Mike Myers being kind of difficult to work with, right?
Yeah, apparently he's a menace.
Yeah, a diva, if you will.
Yeah,
as they would say.
The director of The Cat in the Hat, I forget her name, but she's quoted as saying like the production was.
It's a guy. It's Bo Welch, I think.
Oh, is it?
I think so.
I could have sworn when I was I read an article and I thought they said it was a woman named Amy something, but I could see you looking it up.
I know I know I'm right. Bo Welch. Because the thing about that is that he's the production designer for Tim Burton movies.
Oh, okay.
So they're like, here, make a Tim Burton movie. And he's like, yeah, made a whole universe for the worst movie idea of all time.
Well, a woman on the production of that was quoted as saying it was nightmarish, which I just found really funny because, like, he kind of looked nightmarish in that cat suit.
Yeah.
It's a terrifying movie.
I think that trailer came out and everyone just said, no, thank you.
Yeah. And
I saw that in the theater with my dad and my brother. And we were like, it's a really like deeply upsetting movie. Yeah, it's really weird, very triggering, I think, for a lot of people. And
I could just picture like, Mike Myers dressed up as this horrific cat just terrorizing a young Spencer and Abigail Breslin.
Yes. Yes. No, it's only one. It can't be both of them. Oh. It's Dakota Fanning and listen, I know who's in the Cat in the Hat.
It's not the Breslins? Fuck, you're really schooling me on your Cat in the Hat knowledge.
No, it's Spencer Breslin. But it's
not his sister.
It's not his sister, no. It's Dakota Fanning.
Son of a fucking bitch.
Yeah.
I thought they were just always paired together.
I don't know if they've ever been together. Maybe they have at some point.
Definitely been paired together in something.
Yeah. Breslins, come on the pod.
Yeah.
We won't, not one of you both have to come on the pod.
And Mark Breslin, the founder of Yuck Yucks.
Oh, yeah. Great.
Apparently a real piece of shit.
I'm sure he is.
I asked, going off of that, I asked a friend of the pod, Sam, if he wanted to come on because, Mike Myers, Canadian comedy legend. Our friend Sam, his dad is a Canadian comedy legend.
Yes, I always forget that.
And I asked him, and he replied, "Thanks for the offer, but I'd rather come on in a movie that is way worse, so I could make fun of it."
Right.
And I was like, "Hold up, First of all, is that what you think we do here? We make fun of movies?
Yeah,
we don't make fun of movies.
How did this get made or something?
Yeah,
or
we see the value in any movie and can have a good discussion regardless of the quality of the film.
Yeah, obviously he didn't listen to Paranormal Activity. If all we did was make fun of the bad movies, we would have spent 8 episodes just shitting all over Paranormal Activity instead of intelligently, intellectually,
deeply
academically,
insightful.
You were trying to help them craft a better paranormal activity in the future.
Yes. Paul, yes.
With a surgeon's precision, we would cut open the movies and just take a little peek at how they work, the little gears that are moving inside. Yeah. We're not just
I was offended.
Yeah,
and second of all, you don't get to fucking bite the hand. Have you not heard that Nine Inch Nails song? You don't bite the hand that feeds.
Are you feeding him?
What are you feeding?
Yeah. When I invite you on the pod, you
say
come
yes.
on. Yeah, you don't.
I didn't get fed. I brought my own snacks.
Yeah, well, good for you.
You don't say I'll come back another time. You don't tell us when you come on. We invite you and you come on and we're doing you a favor, buddy.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know I feel this way, but we hung out last night actually, and I played it totally cool. I didn't let him know. But I hope he listens to this and finds out that you're banned from the pod. You're forbidden from coming on.
Whoa, really?
Unless you make a big show of apology and amends and beg forgiveness. You piece of shit.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Or if he can be here by 8 o'clock today and show up for the second movie, is that?
No.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, we try to present a united front on the podcast, so I'm not going to disagree with you. I don't necessarily have the same feelings, but I agree. I think Sam should be on the pod at some point, but it sounds like he owes you an apology, so he should do that first.
I think he deserves a flogging.
Yeah, great. Well, I wouldn't mind doing that. So anyway, Myers is a real Sam, if you will. He's a real monster. But something I read in an interview is that his dad, who he was very, very close with his parents, and I think his kind of Scottish character, not so much fat bastard, but
Shrek.
well, Shrek, but especially the in the movie he made. This is Mike Myers' first movie, and then he made I Think I Married an Axe Murderer, or So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Yeah, I remember watching that and finding it kind of funny.
Yeah, I always thought it was before it, but not a movie I've seen in a like, who knows when, ages ago. He has he plays his dad in that, and I think that's a very close sort of idea of what his dad was like. They were very close, and his dad had Alzheimer's during the making of this movie and ended up dying before Mike Myers could show him the finished film, and he was really devastated. And so I think that was an element of why he was being such a prick. However, the years since then, after his dad is dead, he's still being a prick. You don't really have an excuse. But when Love Guru was coming out, in an article for Entertainment Weekly, Penelope Spheeris said, and I quote, "I hated that bastard for years." And I'll just read the rest of the quote. Says Spheeris, who believes Myers dissuaded Paramount from hiring her for Wayne's World 2. "But when I saw Austin Powers, I went, I forgive you, Mike." She pauses, voice choked with emotion. "You can be moody, you can be a jerk, you can be things that others of us can't be, because you are profoundly talented, and I forgive you." So there you go. The lesson learned today is you can be a monster in Hollywood if you are talented enough that the scales balance out, right?
That's the classic Hollywood trait.
That's what it's about. We were talking about cancel culture in the last episode. You can do pretty much anything, and as long as you're talented enough, you just weigh it out, right?
But nowadays, the second that talent runs out, we're coming for you.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Or
you better just have hit after hit, otherwise you're in the dumps.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's I remember watching that R. Kelly documentary that came out, Surviving R. Kelly.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how strategically some of his biggest hits were released to draw attention away from some of the court cases that was happening. He literally dropped the Ignition remix to take some of the heat off of I forget if it was Aaliyah or something else, but he was just listen to this fire ass track,
Yeah.
And then that song from Space Jam too, just dropped and completely eclipsed, and everyone forgot that they were oh, that guy's kind of fucked up. They were oh, that's
totally.
I believe I can fly.
Totally manufactured.
I mean, that basically leads into Rob Lowe being in this movie.
Yes,
right.
yes, yeah. So this was Rob Lowe's first kind of venture into the comedy Rob Lowe persona that we know and tolerate today. And I think just shortly before this, he was embroiled in this sex tape scandal where he was filmed, I think unbeknownst to him, or maybe he did know, but anyway, it got out, and it turns out that he was having sex on this tape with underage girls.
Whoa.
And
girls multiple?
I think it's a threesome situation. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. I haven't seen the tape. I watched it last night, but I don't really remember exactly where. No, I don't know if you can see the tape.
You do research for this show.
I know, and you didn't even track down the illegal underage sex tape. But yeah, so this kind of rehabilitated or helped rehabilitate his career.
Right.
And now I think people know him as the funny Parks and Rec guy.
I mean,
and not as the guy who.
If that story is floating around, this character is the right person character of this movie is the right person to attach that story to.
Yeah, totally.
Benjamin in this movie is the type of person who would have a sex tape with underage girls.
Yes,
that's very true.
Yeah. He's very well cast, I guess, in that sense.
I think he's pretty great and pretty funny in this movie.
He is actually.
He is pretty good in this.
Yeah. I think actually one of the weakest elements is Mike Myers as Wayne. I think Wayne has his charming moments and some great laughs, but I think Penelope Spheeris' direction is very good and very tight, but also comedy minded, with little gags here and there and sight gags and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And then Garth is really funny. Dana Carvey as Garth. I personally, we spoke about it earlier, I'm not crazy about Dana Carvey's persona, but I'm a big fan of Garth Algar. And I wish he was more like that in the real world.
His fursona,
yeah. No, his fursona is Garth Algar's dog, the lassie that also has the metal hair.
And
Rob Lowe and Tia Carrere, she's great too.
She's great.
Yeah, I think they're all like it's a pretty ensemble comedy. Wayne's like buddies, like his heavy metal friends who kind of run the show, like Phil, the guy who always blacks out, and Terry, the guy who gets super emotional and always tells people he loves them, who's played by Lee Turgison, Tobias Beecher from Oz, who bites the head off of a penis in the season 2 opener.
Yeah, I'll have to take your word for that.
Pretty iconic.
Yeah, clear trajectory from this character to that character.
I have season 2 of Oz on DVD. I'll lend it to you guys.
Nice. Just jump right in.
The episode's called The Tip, and it's like a double entendre because someone gives a tip, but then he also bites off the tip of a penis.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
That is the quality.
HBO.
The quality writing from HBO. Yeah, it's not TV. It's HBO.
And what's the name of Benjamin's assistant in the movie? Russell? Is that it?
Yeah,
he's really funny.
Yeah, he's good.
Kurt Fuller. It's very funny.
Brian Doyle Murray as Noah from Noah's Arcade.
Ed O'Neill's character in this is really good.
Yeah, really funny. Really funny.
That little bit of Chris Farley is also great. I mean, I think that is part of what makes this movie really good is that there are tons of little bits from character actors showing up and doing one scene. And it helps bring this movie together because it really does feel like a lot is thrown at the wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think anytime the movie starts to get focused on moving the plot forward or anything like that, you're kind of like, okay, well, this sucks because who cares? All the best parts about this movie and all the memorable things are like little character moments and things like that. Things that feel like they were. Some of them feel kind of off the cuff or like they were improvised. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of Garth's stuff in particular was. And then other ones feel like, a Penelope Spheeris sort of thing where it's like a good director taking a small moment and kind of like making it memorable. Mm-hmm. And I guess so we were talking about how Mike Myers sucks and how he's a bad person. And I was trying, when we were watching this, I was trying to not have that view the movie through that lens, but it's impossible not to. It's impossible to separate Wayne or Austin Powers or Guru Bitka, all of these wonderful characters from Mike Myers and from him being an asshole and knowing what we know about him or whatever. But I tried really hard to separate it, and I do genuinely think Wayne is kind of the low point of the movie, right? He's funny.
He's not unlikable.
He's not unlikable,
but he's kind of overshadowed.
Well, yeah, his jokes aren't the funny ones.
I mean, he's saying way more jokes per minute than anyone else, and I think it doesn't all hit. There are some things that stand out as kind of classic lines that I'm surprised I didn't know they came from this movie. And it feels like there are lots of little bits that are oh, that kind of just became a joke that everyone did. And all the product placement stuff where they're pretending they're bagging on product placement while doing it is something that you're I guess I've seen this a dozen times since then. Yeah.
They really take the piss out of advertising in this movie. And
how did that make you feel?
As someone who works in advertising, I didn't like it. Put some respect on the industry. Also, Lara Flynn Boyle. Is another great side character as
LFB.
Stacy. Was it Stacy?
Yeah.
His ex-girlfriend who buys him a gun rack.
Yeah. So apparently, that's Mike Myers had a weird ex-girlfriend who bought him a gun rack as a joke present, and he didn't like it, and then he put it in the movie. And then she saw the movie and was very upset. So write what you know, right? Yeah, that's important. The soundtrack album reached number 1 and then went double platinum by 1997. And I think we were talking about how a lot of the movie is just either filmed performances from Crucial Taunt. I keep thinking it's Crucial Taunt. Or a lot of montages set to music and so on. Obviously, the famous Bohemian Rhapsody.
That's a great sequence. Speaking of Penelope Spheeris doing in a lazier comedy, they could have just completely phoned that in, but it's really well done. And like you mentioned, Paul, how Phil, the guy who's always fucked up, he kind of comes to life while they're singing the song, and I think that actually introduced me to Bohemian Rhapsody.
I think it was probably a huge boost for Queen in general.
Yeah. It did. The song went to number 2 in the United States shortly after.
Everybody like wanted to, or I know this. I watched this movie years after it came out, but like it felt like it played on TV, and then the next day at school, like everyone wanted to sing Bohemian Rhapsody with their friends. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah, I mean, and that is like it's a famous thing where that they didn't want that song for that scene. They wanted to do something more current. And then that's one of the things where Mike Myers just kind of fought for it. And then I think essentially said, like, this is my movie. And the way the rights worked out, I think he had the ability to cancel the film, even though they had already started production. And I think that's interesting because the plot of the movie is so much about them losing control of what they've created. And he made sure that he didn't have that with this movie.
Yeah, and that was the only time he was right.
Yeah.
Every other time, now who knows? I mean, like Austin. I like Austin Powers. I loved Austin Powers when I was a kid, and even Goldmember. It's like that came out when I was like 12 or 13, right?
Yeah, I saw it in theaters in like grade 7.
Yeah,
and it was the funniest movie.
The whole intro of Goldmember, where they're doing the Spielberg version of Austin Powers, is pretty great. I mean, that's the like early Tom Cruise comedy bit too. Yeah.
I love gold. It's funny.
I mean, credit.
Sorry, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, you credit where credit's due. That's what you're saying.
Mike Myers did a pretty good Dutch accent for Goldmember because it's a hard accent to do.
Yeah, flawless accent.
Absolutely flawless.
I love gold. In the schmelting accent.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
Whenever I hear, what's the director of RoboCop and
Paul Verhoeven.
I am just like, he sound like
Goldmember. Yeah.
So funny. Paul Verhoeven also has his genitalia cast in gold.
Yeah, I mean that's believable. Yeah. He made like 8 porn movies before. I mean, even I saw Basic Instinct not that long ago, and I think that is the best plot in a porn movie I've ever seen.
That's a hot ass movie.
It's great.
You know what's great about Basic Instinct? There's Basic Instinct 2. Ooh. So we can do it. Basic Instinct 2, I have not seen, but allegedly terrible film.
Well, yeah.
As you can imagine. Yeah. Okay, that's great because we've got, so we can do that. Showgirls also has a terrible, like low rent sequel, and Hollow Man has a terrible low rent sequel.
RoboCop.
Really? RoboCop has RoboCop.
Yeah. Total Recall has a remake.
Total Recall is a remake.
Almost every one of his films has
RoboCop
some
has a remake too.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah,
he's a very remade guy. Starship Troopers doesn't though. Oh my God, there is like direct to video, like Hero of the Federation or something.
Marines or whatever.
Yeah, just more propaganda.
Yeah.
Oh wow, Paul Verhoeven, like quietly, like one of the most prolific franchise guys.
Yeah, like
Black Book 2.
Also, just like one of the cases.
Yeah.
I think his movies are also the sequels. Just drop all of the, like concept of irony and like criticism.
Because he doesn't make the sequels, right? No. Someone else makes the sequels, and they're not Paul Verhoeven.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Like I think RoboCop 2 has some irony in it and some like self-aware elements to it.
Written by Frank Miller.
There you go. Yeah, and directed by Irving Kershner.
Famous piece of shit, Frank
Miller. Yeah, friend of the pod, of course. Yeah. Racist Batman.
Ableist Batman. All sorts of
great idea.
Terrible Batman.
Great, huge ideas. Here's a little something that I thought was funny on the Wikipedia page for the film. Under the pop culture influence section of the film.
Please.
Filled with pop culture references, the sketches and the film started catchphrases such as schwing and xia, as well as popularizing "That's what she said," "Party on," and the use of ... not after apparently affirmative sentences to state the contrary.
Ooh.
And "We're not worthy, we're not worthy." All huge slogans we hear. My cousin, who's like 13 or something, he was saying he was saying schwing the other day. He was doing the air hump schwing
Oh, wow.
at all of the sexy video game ladies in his video game.
What video game was he playing?
DOA, yeah, or whatever. What are those volleyball?
He was
games?
playing that's from like 2005.
Yeah. You can buy it on the PlayStation Store.
Oh, great! They're still enabling idiot children. To,
yeah.
Great.
Oh, I know what I'm doing after this.
Schwing and xia. You can't walk down the street in Toronto without hearing somebody go xia.
Excuse me? I don't. that was the one. Excuse me. Yeah. That was the one that didn't catch my ear, but sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Party on. People say that all the time.
One of my favorite moments is when they're doing the like sold out production of Wayne's World, and they have that like classic talk show, late night show announcer guy, and he's just like, "Party on Wayne and party on Garth." Like
that is genuinely one of the funnier parts.
That's such a good gag. It's such a and the guy they got was perfect. You know, like his affectation and his look. Like
I wonder if that's somebody.
Kind of looks like Kevin O'Leary. Kind of looks like homicidal
boat maniac. Yeah.
Kevin O'Leary.
I love how many enemies you guys are creating on this show.
Yeah. Do you think
we have too many?
Do you think that's going to come back and bite us in the ass? Because sometimes my parents will listen and they'll say, "You shouldn't wish death on the monarchy," and like.
Well, your mom's also.
I think that's only going to raise your profile.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Should I tell people like explicitly where Jordan Peterson lives, like his address?
No, we're slyly hinting at it, and they're going to piece it together, and that's what draws them in.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you got to build that up over years and years.
Let's just let's drop one more hint, okay? Here's a little hint.
Do it in a rhyme. Like a Riddler thing.
You know what you guys need to do? You guys need to do the Saw franchise and slowly dole out little bits.
Maybe we will do that sometime.
Spoilers.
Maybe.
Cut this out.
Yeah. Okay. We both did like improv and comedy and stuff in university a little bit.
Don't ever accuse me of that again.
Sorry.
I never did improv. I did sketch comedy with your brother.
With my brother. And I did improv with
losers.
Yeah.
You guys are brave for admitting that.
Yeah, I know. And at the end of the improv, when they do the hoedown, like they would do on Whose Line Is It Anyway, where you have to do a rhyming song, I just couldn't do it. It's hard. It's way too hard. But I will give a little hint about where Jordan Peterson lives. I'm going to try to... What rhymes with...
rhymes with sexist.
If you're rowing your boat and steering your oar, Mr. Peterson will be found north of Bloor... Pretty good, huh? Pretty good, right?
Yeah,
pretty good.
No, that's good.
So yeah, north of Bloor, there you go. That's a huge chunk of the city.
Wow.
But it also eliminates the
eliminates
key
an
downtown
equally
area,
huge chunk.
chunk. So
Yeah.
north of Bloor, think about that.
I'm assuming he lives by a river or lake of some sort.
That's for next week's episode.
No,
Okay.
I can say no, he does not. I haven't told you where he lives, have I? So you really don't. You're playing the game along with everybody else.
Sure. Yeah. I think you've strongly hinted or suggested. Right?
You walked by and threw an egg at it.
You're like, oh, that's where he lives, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah, okay.
Which one of your enemies' homes did we walk by and throw an egg at?
I think Jordan Peterson is the only enemy of the show that we have actually met. That one of us has met in real life. Yeah.
Except for Sam.
Except for Sam, who
blacklisted.
Yeah. Sorry, dude.
What?
Don't know what to tell you.
Don't buck our good tidings.
Yeah. Don't buck our good tidings.
That famous saying.
Yeah. Famous saying made popular by the Wayne's World films. Yeah, I think one thing watching it again this time that struck me, like there's, I think this is the case with any movie that like you would watch over and over and over when you were a kid, and different formats like on TV or VHS or whatever else.
I feel like it was on TV a lot for
all the time.
When I was
yeah,
13, 14.
Definitely. And I feel like maybe that was because I'm only watching sections of it and not necessarily sitting down to watch the whole thing at a time. But you sort of like compartmentalize all these different little bits and pieces of it and jokes and so on, and to actually watch the full movie like start to finish again. it's just a weird feeling, right? Where you're kind of like, oh yeah, like this is what the actual movie is like.
It's a very bit movie. Like it's compartmentalized itself. You know, I guess coming from the sketch comedy world.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, this iconic scene is after that iconic scene. You know, like they're not worried as much about transitions and causality and stuff. It's just like, now we're here, now we're doing this.
And a lot of the stuff that kind of ties the film together is the like, we know we're doing the obvious thing in this type of movie, and that's what makes it funny. And I don't think that makes it funny. I think that is just purely glue holding together the movie.
Yeah, there's only so many jokes, like meta-textual jokes like that before you're like, okay, like, you know, the well is dry now.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I think even a lot of the stuff that does work feels like, it works here, but don't anyone else try and do this, because it's not a recipe for success.
Right.
Yeah, you got to be pretty charismatic to pull it off. Just like Mike Myers and Dana Carvey.
Yeah.
The master of disguise.
Yeah, great
Pistachio disguisey.
Yeah, we were talking about, so Paul, you had said you had watched Wayne's World at the beginning of the pandemic.
Wait, which one of you said you saw Masters of Disguise in theaters?
I did.
Yeah.
I remember going to see that.
Was the theater empty?
I don't think even that, you know, it's like that's the age where you walk out of movies and you're just like, I loved it. It's a movie.
Right,
movies are great.
Yeah.
And I think even at that point I was like, I don't think that was very good.
yeah, definitely. Well, I actually did watch it again at the beginning of the pandemic on a full screen DVD, which bothers me that there isn't. Lovely. I don't think there's a way to actually watch it in its correct aspect ratio, because nobody cares about that movie, and for good reason, because it's very bad. Yeah. I felt bad for Dana Carvey watching it. I guess he kind of gets tied to Mike Myers' career through this, and Mike Myers does his Austin Powers movies, really successful, and
leaves Dana Carvey in the dust.
Yeah, leaves Dana Carvey in the dust, and this was his big like chance at launching his own whatever character or franchise.
Pistachio disguisey.
Yeah, and unfortunately for this show, I think there's never going to be a Master of Disguise 2. For us
it's
to
so
cover.
clearly set up for more films.
I know. I mean, infinite possibilities. You know, he actually, there's. I remember too. Like, so this is the thing with like these like sketch guys from the 80s and 90s, particularly like or like comedians like Robin Williams and Dana Carvey and people like that. Is that when you go back and watch their stuff and you're like, all these characters, inevitably there will be some type of racist caricature in there. And Master of Disguise has a couple as well, which I forgot. Of course, the most offensive being the main character, Pistachio Disguisey.
I thought you were going to say the turtle guy.
Yeah. No, I just like... it's anti-Italian discrimination is what I wanted to say.
Well, they deserve it.
Yeah, get over it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's weird, though, because I feel like maybe not a lot of people didn't see that movie back then. It was kind of a bomb. It's not like regarded really highly. I don't even think it's really like a cult film or anything. But I feel like everyone knew the stupid fucking Turtle Club line from the commercials and the
funniest
trailer.
part of the movie.
That's oddly iconic. You know, I feel like everybody can quote, "Am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club?"
I think a lot of the stuff in the commercial wasn't in the movie.
Oh, really?
I think there was a bunch of
definitely.
like what felt like good lines to a 9-year-old in the commercial were not in the movie, and I remember being a little pissed off about that.
Yeah. I bet. And like, there's a famous urban legend or like unsourceable IMDb trivia fact that Turtle Club scene was shot on September 11th, 2001, and that they had to pause to like say the Twin Towers have been hit and so on and so on. And Dana Carvey was like in his suit, right? And had to be like let's all have a moment of silence for the victims of 9/11. But I don't know if it's actually
a good sketch
true.
There.
Well, I thought
that'd
be a great movie, right? Yeah, that'd be a really good movie.
Yeah.
But apparently it isn't quite accurate.
Okay.
Like that, I think in truth, it's that the Turtle Club scene was the first scene they had to shoot after 9/11 had happened. Like
good vibes.
Yeah. So yeah.
That itself is a very funny sketch, though. They're shooting this absurd scene for a movie, and like someone comes in, like the George W. Bush thing, and leans in, whispers in your ear.
Let's just tell the actor on camera.
He has to say, "Stop! Everybody, stop! I have some terrible news.
Yeah, something horrible has happened."
Yeah, it's actually like the I don't know if I brought this up, but I was watching one of those. The two little like IMAX James Cameron documentaries he made in between Titanic and like Avatar,
like
where he's
deep,
aliens in the deep and stuff like that.
Yeah.
One of them, it ends with him coming out of the submersible, like from the bottom of the ocean, and then Bill Paxton is there, and he's like, "Jim, we got terrible news. The biggest terrorist attack in history." And like 9/11 had just happened. Like it happened when he was underwater, and so he comes out, and it's the end of the movie. That's the end of the IMAX documentary. He's like. And he's like, well, there's a little narration where it's like, well, we'll have to keep exploring, or I don't know, something like that. It's great. But poor Bill, he's just like, Jim, 2 planes.
He's probably like, why'd you keep that in? Like, why'd you keep that in the
It's
IMAX
an amazing
nature
ending
document?
to the movie.
Is it?
Yeah, it's the best part of the movie. The best part of the movie.
It's
the
like
rest of the movie is him being like...
Look at this jellyfish.
Well, yeah,
he's
he's not
fucking weird jellyfish.
He's like not a scientist, so he's down there and he's with a bunch of scientists, and the scientists are like, "Look at that, look at this." And James Cameron and Bill Paxton in particular, who's like even less of a scientist than Jim, right? He, most of his lines are being like, "Oh, cool! Like, what's that?
An anglerfish. Whoa,
neat! Yeah, oh, it's a shrimp."
The original Vice documentary filmmaker, not an expert on it, going down and. Going, cool, man. Love this shit.
Yeah, dude. Bottom of the ocean on acid. That actually is a really good idea. Like,
take one of those like Vice journalist guys, like that really skinny guy who would do all the drugs, and just stick him in a
Hamilton Morris. Oh man. Okay.
Stick him in one of those bathyspheres.
I did 5-MeO DMT at the bottom of the ocean. Here's what I found out. I watch that guy's show sometimes because it's a very funny format where it's like
so funny.
Yeah, he's like, I'm a pretentious like Brooklyn hipster guy, and like I wear a scarf indoors, and like now I'm tripping on frog venom. Yeah, and. Like, so the show, like, they do the research. It's an hour-long episode. It's well produced. It's Vice. It's got the sheen, And then at the end of every episode, it's him tripping balls for like 10 minutes. And like, as soon as you get there on YouTube, you can just skip all that other bullshit and get right to the good stuff, But what I found out is I was like, there's something about this guy that I really like and that I find it very attractive, but also that I hate. There's just some like element about him that I find really unpleasant. And I found out that he is Errol Morris's son, the famous documentary filmmaker.
That's Errol Morris's son.
That is Errol Morris's son. That he is carrying on his father's documentary legacy. Yeah.
Oh
the Nepo baby, the Nepo crack baby. That's him. He doesn't do crack, but he does everything else.
He's probably done crack.
He's probably done crack. Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's funny. He's like in the Amazon, dressed in like in a long sleeve shirt, buttoned up to the top with his scarf and his like drain type jeans.
Yeah,
and he's like vomiting from the frog he just licked.
I love documentaries where you don't actually learn anything.
Yeah, truly.
Anyway, you can buy drugs online. You can buy acid online.
Oh yeah, you found a good deal on like Rick and Morty blotters because they're trying to like get them out.
The Rick and Morty blotter industry
are not good. Oh.
The blotter industry is imploding and nobody is talking about it.
It's crashing like crypto.
It is. Yeah. Sam Bankman-Fried. He
screwed up the acid industry.
One too many Rick and Morty tabs on his epic adventure.
It's worthless.
And he deleted all his money.
People are using Rick and Morty blotter tabs as toilet paper. It's worthless now.
Yeah, and also
it's a good way to do it.
You
too.
should
it goes
not
straight into your bloodstream.
Be careful. You put one tab in your butt. It's like taking 2 tabs in your mouth. Be careful.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Everything up the butt. The butt is filled with like nerve endings that are just dying to absorb whatever. you do.
Seriously.
I'm serious,
just
Paul.
a multiplier.
You've got to look in your eye. Like I know what I'm doing when I.
Paul, be careful. Anything you put up your butt, it's like putting 2 to 3 times of what it would be in your mouth.
Yeah, it sounds
think
useful,
about that.
really.
You think about that.
But even pleasurable stuff.
Yeah.
That's a given.
Yeah, of course. We all know that. We're talking about like don't do a butt chug or like
butt cocaine.
Butt cocaine's probably fine. Yeah,
how does your butt react to grapefruit juice?
Yeah, you probably shouldn't. Well, you can't take grapefruit juice and other types of heart medication, so you should be careful. Just in general. Yeah.
But on its own, you could probably get away with it.
All right,
yeah,
cool.
I think so.
Paul actually has a very special distinction. Yesterday we crowned the first. It was a momentous occasion because we had the first mom on the pod. Paul is the first father we have on the pod.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Dad pod.
You're pod daddy.
Yeah.
You're our own personal Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can go that way.
Okay, yeah.
I also have a beard, so I'm just like him.
Yeah, you're guiding us through the post-apocalyptic wasteland of Toronto.
Mm-hmm. God, it's rough. That's
the plan when we end this pod is I shepherd you out of here.
Look for medicine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But one of you might get sacrificed for the greater good, so...
Speaking of which, I'm tomorrow I'm actually going to the opera. I'm being a fancy boy.
Whoa.
And I'm going to a matinee of Salome, the Richard Strauss opera directed by Adam Egoyan.
Yes. He does direct opera in this city.
So I'm doing that as a matinee. Tomorrow's a really culture-filled day because then in the evening I'm going to get really high and go see Knock at the Cabin.
Nice.
Which is another excellent work of art, as you've told me.
Well, no
spoilers.
I don't want to go too far, but I do think it's a really interesting movie. I don't know if it's necessarily like a fun high movie though.
Sounds stressful.
Yeah, it's kind of stressful.
But it's Dave Bautista, and
he's good. He's really good.
I like the idea of getting high and watching Dave Bautista and Ron Weasley pressure this
weird
family into like killing their adopted dog.
Oh, and you put it that way, actually. Yeah, it is. Yeah. I wouldn't say it's like his masterpiece. Like I know some people are really, the people who are really into M. Night Shyamalan movies. They
like know online, it's After Earth.
Yeah, well, actually, I finally watched After Earth.
It's good.
It's weird. It's
their accents are so
really
funny.
Weird, yeah. Dude. And then after you watched After Earth, after I watched it, I went on like a probably like multi-hour YouTube like binge of like Will Smith's family stuff. I watched the clip of him slapping Chris Rock over and over again. And I was just like, it's all connected, man. Like, like drawing like strings on a map, but it actually
can't control the sphere.
Well, exactly.
That's what happened.
It's one of the more explicitly Scientological. That's a good word. Mm-hmm. It's one of the more explicitly Scientological texts. Since Battlefield Earth, probably.
Mm-hmm. Which is I've never seen, which I know.
Oh, Battlefield Earth is good.
I need to get on it.
We rented that as a family movie night. Yep.
I love all the talk about leverage in that.
Hey, everybody. This is Ben talking to my computer after we recorded. We had a technical difficulty, and we lost the rest of this episode, unfortunately. Because we fucked up, and not on the next episode because we recorded that right after, but on the next episode, you better believe we're going to flog ourselves silly just to make up for it. So we're sorry that you missed out on some more excellent riffs tangentially related to Wayne's World, 1992, Penelope Spheeris. But Wayne's World 2, it's coming out next week, and there's more content, which is what I know you all crave. We all crave it, and we need it, and we're here slinging it, supplying it. I'm really tired. What I'm trying to get at is thanks for Paul for coming on the episode. I'm sorry we didn't get to talk more about it, but we're going to have you back on again. We didn't even get into AV stuff. We have to talk about that. Anyway, we all liked Wayne's World for the most part. Mike Myers, hit or miss. So we'll see you next week for Wayne's World 2. And rate, review, and subscribe, and all that bullshit. And I think I covered everything. So goodbye. I love you. Bye. There's one thing I forgot to cover. We got into some really excellent, epic Scientology riffing related to After Earth and, whatever, and fucking Battlestar Galactica. No, what's it called? Battleship Earth. Battleship Earth. Yeah, and so did we technically screw up the podcast, or were we suppressed? Were we labeled as suppressive persons by the Church of Scientology? And was did their elite team of hackers scramble our memory card or whatever, or fry our brains so we forgot to format it, right? So is it our fault? Do we have to flog ourselves, or should we all get a big flog and go whip the Church of Scientology into shape? So, yeah. Anyway, I love you guys. Love you. Mwah. I love you. Bye. I love you. Battlefield Earth, okay? I'm sorry. I'm not going to flog myself over that. That's stupid. Whoa!